If you try to use AI in a wrong way, you could cause more problem than it's worth. The Power Producers podcast now is, I think, about 5 years old, and kudos to you. I mean, incredible the contribution that you've made to this industry.
If you go to Google now and do a search, the very first result you get is kind of an AI summary of all of the results that it's pulled. And I mean, that's a double-edged sword.
AI is absolutely changing the insurance industry, right? I mean, it's speeding up decisions, it's improving risk management, it's enabling real-time insights. I mean, this trend is going to reshape the insurance industry as we know it. I think a lot of people are just very excited about these AI tools, and they're not thinking twice. They're just using it for everything in every way, and they're not always accurate. They're not always reliable, and we got to be careful.
I think that the average person in our industry is fundamentally lazy. I think that they're C players. That's what recruited me to come in. And it doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they're going to do what they need to do to get by and nothing more. They're going to try and take whatever shortcuts they can if they think they're going to work in their behavior.
I am a firm believer that AI is not going to replace the producer, and the reason is because we as human beings want to have a trusted relationship with a person to advise us and help us with these kinds of decisions as a business owner, as an individual. So I'm not too concerned about that.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Power Producers Podcast, where we are refining and redefining the sales game. And one of the ways we do that is we bring you cutting-edge technology and InsurTech solutions to make your lives as agency owners and producers much easier, or easier than it could be otherwise. And I'm honored today to have a great guest with me. I have Jeff Harris, who's the CEO of Appulate, which is largely considered to be the oldest InsurTech out there. And I'm sure he's got the stats to prove it. So we're going to get cranked up and find out what's going on with Appulate, because in my mind, if you can be around as long as they have, it's a testament to the creativity and leadership that they have in order to adapt to an ever-changing environment. So with all of the other things and shiny objects we have out there, they seem to be a rudder that steered a ship in a direction that others have come and gone from. So, Jeff, welcome to the podcast. We're thankful to have you on today. And just do me a favor, introduce yourself to everybody and kind of give them your background. And then let's talk about what's going on at Appulate.
Thanks, David. Thanks for having me. And speaking of longevity, I mean, the Power Producers podcast now is, I think, about 5 years old. And kudos to you. I mean, incredible the contribution that you've made to this industry, and it's always engaging. So I truly am honored to be here and be with you this afternoon. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, Jeff Harris. I have that title of CEO, but more importantly, I'm one of the founders of Appulate, and we started the business all the way back in March of 2005. And so talk about old. In March of 2005, the iPhone didn't exist, right? The iPhone didn't come out to 2007. So,
I was just starting as a producer, man. 2005, that was my first year as a producer in the industry.
Remember then we would wake up, you and I probably were similar age. We'd wake up and, we didn't have any aches and pains.
Yeah, that's certainly changed. Certainly.
So it's 20 years is a long time for anything, but we're very proud of our longevity, and it's been really fun.
So in 2005, you had a vision for something that the industry was lacking. As a co-founder of Appulate, what was the thought process? What was the vision? What was the problem that you were seeking to solve that the industry needed, that motivated you to get to the point to start Appulate and solve that problem?
So we were some young guys that knew people in the insurance industry, our buddies who were producers, and they used to complain to us about the issue of supplemental form generation. And especially back in those days here in California, our home state, especially around workers' compensation. Producers were having just an abysmal time. It was a hard market, and they had to produce individual supplementals for each market, and it was just a lot of work. And so, we had my co-founder Dimitri and I had a forms automation background, and our thought was, hey, if we could help the producers take the data that they're either out of their agency management system or the data they're entering into one supplemental and then allow them to use that across others, that would really save a lot of time. And so that's the innovation we brought to the table 20 years ago that got us off the ground.
But that's not all you do today.
Well, fortunately, we've been able to serve a lot of innovative agencies that have said, "Hey, here's some other pains we have. Can you help us out?" And so today, our solution, which we call Producer Connect, is a broad marketing platform that helps agents get their information into carrier websites and portals. It helps them more readily and quickly obtain loss runs. It helps them save time and data entry on various forms. So it's kind of a nice bolt on to what they might already have from their agency management system.
So what I'm hearing sounds like 3 or 4 individual products that exist across several other companies, but you've unified that same general thought process into a single dashboard so that you can do everything in one spot. Is that accurate?
We've tried to throw as much value into our product as we can to help agencies out. And some agencies use certain aspects of it more than others, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, rather than having to kind of have this Frankensteinian approach and piecing a lot of different things together, you can have one platform. It has some integration with agency management systems, and it allows you to do a lot of the things that agency management systems don't allow you to do. For example, if you've got the pain of having to go to individual carrier websites and portals and type a lot of information in, we've solved that. We have thousands of carrier websites and portals that we've integrated with to allow the producer or CSR to save a lot of time.
So typically, when I hear people talk about that, it has been more robotic process automation
Yeah,
that is fulfilling those tasks. But AI has become such a
yeah,
buzzword, but I feel like I'm seeing it migrate into more of like what seems to me, you're way smarter about this stuff than I am, almost like a hybrid of AI and RPA together. So as the technology has changed, how do you keep up with that? How are you adapting to this new, almost what I would consider to be an AI forward thought process? I think most people now, if you talk to them, they're at least familiar with Chat GPT. But if you talk to
yeah.
people who are using, technology on a regular basis, it's almost like we're seeing this movement where people are moving from the Googles and the Bings to Chat GPT, which is interesting because as somebody who creates content, I'd kind of like them to go to my website. I mean,
Right,
I don't have it
right.
monetized or anything, but it is a lead magnet to other things that I do. And it's
Sure.
kind of removing the need for them to do that a little bit, even as much as if you go to Google now and do a search, the very first result you get's kind of an AI summary of all of
Yeah,
the results that it's pulled. And I mean, that's a double-edged sword, and I've got my own opinions on that. I feel like some people, the people who just want a quick answer or are maybe price shoppers are going to consume the content there, and that's good. I think people who really have a problem that they're trying to solve, whether it be insurance,
yeah,
risk management, or otherwise, are going to
yeah,
look past that and drill down deeper to where they can go to the actual source of some of that material to get a better education. But and honestly, from the content marketing strategy and
hmm,
inbound strategy, those people are actually higher intent buyers, and the AI, whether it realizes it or not, is filtering out some of the more transactional buyers
that's
that we
right.
typically would spend time on quoting, but they're going to go to
Yeah,
5 other agencies, whereas we have a
yeah,
much higher intent lead come in. So I have to believe that we're with AI, both generative and agentic, there are things that are going to happen to adapt your, change your product or at least your strategy. What's some of that you can talk about?
Well, first off, I mean, AI is absolutely changing the insurance industry, right? I mean, it's speeding up decisions, it's improving risk management, it's enabling real-time insights. I mean, this trend is going to reshape the insurance industry as we know it. I think that uh, we've taken a very conservative approach to AI, and for good reason, and that is that if you implement AI, it better be something that really works reliably, consistently, and to a place where the user feels extraordinary comfort. Because if you can't do that, if you get it wrong or it's unreliable, then you're actually causing the user to have an anxiety, and either they're not going to use it, or worse, they're going to always have this fear that the use of AI isn't accurate, and then they've got to kind of double check that work, and that adds a lot of other time to it. And I'll use a dumb example. David, I'm a Tesla owner. I've had a Tesla for a long time, and when Tesla kind of offered autonomous driving, I took advantage of it very early on. But I admit that early on, right, you'd push down on the lever, and it did a good job kind of keeping you in your lane on the freeway. But it's come to a place now where that autonomous driving, that's really an AI solution. You put in the address and you can kind of kick back and know that you're going to get there safely, reliably, consistently. And that is where the difference of good AI and kind of maybe experimentational AI come into place. So that's a long way of saying Appulate is using AI in places that we know we are going to unload work from the agent. And forms parsing is really where we're starting. Today, we have a solution that can parse data out of any insurance form, a loss run, a deck page, a supplemental form. And so we're able to deliver something very consistent and reliable there. But there's a lot of other things that we could be doing that are not quite ready because the industry isn't ready. So, for example, it would be so cool if there would be an AI solution that would just automatically take the data that an agent collects and push that out to all the various carrier websites and portals. And I think it will get there at some point, but the carrier solutions aren't ready for that yet. And so if you try to use AI in a wrong way, you could cause more problem than it's worth. And so that's been our approach.
I'll tell you what, man. You guys have probably already thought about this, but the
Yeah.
holy grail for me, being somebody who works predominantly with commercial in the middle
Yeah.
market,
Yep. Yep.
dealing with contractors quite a bit. But
Yeah.
even if you're dealing with like real estate investors or whatever else, will be the day that comes where we can take a subcontractor agreement
Yep.
and pull in the actual policy language and marry the two of those to make sure
Yeah.
that what the policy says is what's requested here. Because one of the biggest gaps that I see right now, even in with people using AI, is they're accepting a certificate,
Right.
but they don't know what exclusions are on the back end of a policy.
Exactly.
Specifically, the
Exactly.
construction industry, more and more, we're seeing exclusions put on the back end of policies that's excluding coverage for additional insureds
Yeah.
for products and completed ops and completed and
Yep.
ongoing ops. That
Yeah.
exclusion is never disclosed on a certificate. So
Right.
if you
Right.
get the certificate over to the compliance people, and even if it's a human or if it's an AI, it's going to pass muster. But when the
Right.
claim comes in and that policy was canceled for non-pay or
Exactly.
whatever else, and
Exactly.
they come back after you and you don't have AI status, it's going to be a big problem.
And that's what I'm talking about. If AI is not giving you a complete, reliable, trusted solution, then it's not ready. And I think that's the reason why your wish is definitely something that is well known, and there's I think quite a few insure techs out there that are trying to solve that right now. But I have yet to see it be solved in a way that is kind of market ready. I'll tell you one place in the industry where AI is benefiting a lot of folks, and I would say it's kind of a tangential opportunity for agents, but it's fraud detection. We're seeing AI is very effective right now at detecting fraud because it's good at analyzing patterns and anomalies in data, and so this is helping really the insurers identify fraudulent claims and reduce losses. I'm seeing that has been very perfected. That's kind of an exciting part of the AI space right now in insurance.
Well, I'll tell you, man, I don't know that I would classify it as AI as much as I would just classify it as smart technology. But
Sure.
I was on a call with a company that does insurance compliance verification,
Yeah.
and they used an example of their product that sits on top of an agency management system, but is also now integrating with carriers, but
Yeah.
specific to the agency management system. And use case they brought up was an Amazon it was either Amazon or FedEx last
Last
mile
mile.
delivery,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they put a QR code on the
Mm.
side of the trucks so that when the truck pulls in to load, it
Yeah.
scans it and verifies the
Yep.
insurance in real time. They load the truck, and they have to re-verify it just in the rare circumstance that
Right.
insurance, expired or canceled or something in the short time they were in there loading, and the gate
Yeah.
will not open to let them leave unless that QR code produces the correct result for them to leave. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this is such an awesome use
So
case
cool, right?
technology. And it makes all the sense in the world.
Does.
How many hoops did we used to have to jump through
Sure.
just to get that information? And people
Yeah.
would be, sick and tired of the number of phone calls you have to make, or the people that put you
Yeah.
on hold or wait or whatever else. But I wanted to also go back to something you said earlier, and you brought up the two people, people who would be more reluctant to use AI because they were concerned with the results. I
Yeah.
think the thing that scares me the most is the people who are just going to freaking think it's the Wild West and used it with no checks and balances, because I tend to think more like a producer does. And I can tell
Yeah.
you, my peer group we're risk takers, man. We want to get the deal done. And I can
Right.
see a lot of times people are going to go in. And, the other thing is, I have a belief. I want to make sure everybody understands this is not Jeff's opinion. This is 100% my own. So if you want to throw tomatoes, throw them at me. I think that the average person in our industry is fundamentally lazy. I think that they're C players. That's what recruited me to come in. And it
Yeah.
doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means
No.
they're going to do what they need to do to get by and nothing
Yeah.
more. They're going to
Sure.
try and take whatever shortcuts they can if they think they're going to work in their behavior. And I think it's really, really dangerous for people
Yeah.
right now that are uploading policy language into Chat GPT and asking it to give it interpretations or do analysis or whatever else. It may have a fighting chance to get some of it right, but there's no
Right.
chance in the world that I would trust that 100% if it wasn't a refined product that had a large language model behind it that had been trained, you
Yeah.
know, over years, honestly, to get that stuff done. And I see a lot of people doing that. The other thing that concerns me is the amount of things they're scanning into Chat GPT that has personally identifiable
Oh
information
yeah.
on it. And I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it is going to be really interesting to see, because we're heavily involved with cyber. We write a ton of cyber business. I'm very
Right.
well connected with a lot of the players in that
Yeah.
space. And I'm very interested to see how cyber policies are going to adapt and cover
Yeah.
some of these things based on an exposure that, quite frankly, probably didn't exist 12 months ago.
It's so true, and of course, putting PII into Copilot or ChatGPT, I think that's not something that you want to do right now. I think that's why it's better to contract, find a vendor that can give you the protections and contract with them and have these kind of vendor provided solutions in your agencies. Granted, you're going to spend a little money, but on the back end, you're going to lower your risk, right? Because you're not going to be in a position where you're doing something that's gonna cause a problem. And I'm with you. I think a lot of people are just very excited about these AI tools, and they're not thinking twice. They're just using it for everything in every way, and they're not always accurate. They're not always reliable, and we got to be careful. We got to be careful.
Yeah, 100%. I do think it's exciting though, because I don't, one of the things that similar to the subcontractor agreement versus policy
Yeah.
language thing, even with OCR technology and data mapping, I've never really understood why we didn't have a streamlined solution to audit experience mods, right?
Yeah.
Because we're at a point now, and there are products out there that are
There are.
individual products.
There are.
You
Yeah.
have a product like, and I don't mind naming names because they're both my friends, but like Deep Vector, which was Loss
Yeah.
Scan with Scott Knowles, they can scan the loss runs as long as it's in their library of mapped loss runs, which I believe they probably have to have close to everybody
You
now.
have almost everything,
Yeah,
right?
because they were crowdsourcing that at one
Yeah.
point. So
Yeah.
if it
Yeah.
wasn't in there, which I would maybe debate that agents aren't probably the best at data mapping, so you probably need to double check that work. But then my other good friend Todd Tams has Mod Advisor, and from
Yeah.
my perspective, those two products should work together. There should be an
Mm.
integration there because right now, if you want to use Todd's product, you have to manually key in the loss information
Mm.
if you want to
Mm.
do it the right way. But if you were able to scan it in through what Scott's built and push it into Mod Advisor, you could
Yeah.
literally audit experience mods and generate the reports almost in real time as fast as you could scan information in. That I think would be huge. It would be huge for the carrier side of things. It would be
Yeah.
good for producers because they would be more likely to have a more accurate result. Most of the
Yeah.
time, what I see is a producer that will take a mod worksheet, scan it into a mod advisor or a similar
Yeah.
program, run the mod audit, and then go out and present those reports. The problem is you didn't really do anything to audit the
Right.
integrity of the data. You just took a
Right.
worksheet that may be wrong and created reports from it. You really have to have the loss runs to do it. And I mean, I can tell you, I've been in just absolutely horrific mod audits. I had one that was like
Sure.
57 pages of loss runs that I'm manually keying in because it
Oh,
was the
I
only
don't
way to
envy
do
you.
it. I would argue that I knew a lot about the account by the time I was done because I
Oh
saw
yeah.
every single loss.
Right.
But at
Right.
the same time, is that really the most valuable use of my time? And is it really the most valuable use of it? Even if I was going to send it over to a virtual professional, is it really the most
Right.
valuable use of their time? Why can't we figure out how to just like get this thing to where it's scan the loss runs in, scan the worksheet in, let the software do its work, come back, give me the reports that I want, and we're on to the next one. I think agencies would do that on every single client that they have at renewal. They would do it on every prospect as long as you had the people that knew how to address the talking points around the
Yeah.
output. I think it would do a lot of justice for a lot of agencies, and it would help the carriers become more profitable because it's easier for people to identify the issues that might not necessarily be accustomed to reading loss runs and
Mhm.
recognizing trends.
I couldn't agree more. Those two companies should absolutely partner. I have a feeling they know who they are and have had conversations. But I agree. I want to ask you a question, David, and this is something I've been wondering for a
Sure.
while, right? We know that a lot of younger producers and I would say let's call it 40 and under, right, are very substantially using artificial intelligence in some way,
I'm a
shape, or
unicorn,
form.
man. I'll be honest with you. I'm 52 this year,
Yeah.
and my generation is probably, I think, and to be honest with you, I don't think we have an excuse because I
Yeah.
tell people all the time, I watched the internet get built for crying
Of
out loud. So
course.
why
Of
wouldn't I
course.
be more apt to,
Right.
adopt this technology and learn
Yeah.
how to
Yeah.
use it as it comes out? But for whatever reason, my peer group doesn't seem to be as quick to do it as the
Okay.
younger people. And it's interesting, but anyhow, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, but it's your peer group today that's really in the management roles in most agencies. So do you think that that AI, I mean, just in the spirit of a typical independent agency, is AI something that's being pushed down from the top or being pushed up from the bottom? What's your, I'm
I
curious
think
about your
it's being
thoughts
pushed
there.
up from the bottom and it's being met with
Yeah,
heavy resistance. And the reason
yeah,
why is because I think people operate with the scarcity mindset as opposed to an
yeah,
abundance
yeah,
mindset. And they're
yeah,
coming from a place of fear instead of a
yeah,
place of confidence. And, I think that if you hit that mark of like 50 or older, I think at 50, that 50 to 55 bracket, you've probably got
yeah,
about a 50-50 shot as to whether or not. But you start getting north of about 55 years old, I think people are genuinely concerned that this is the
yeah,
whole thing is going to come in, take over the industry, take our
yeah.
jobs,
It's
and
true.
eventually replace us.
Yeah.
So
So I don't see that
rather
happening.
than rather
That's
than
good
fund the
news.
beast, yeah, rather than fund the beast, they just are going to try and ignore it, which
Yeah.
I think is the most dangerous thing you can do. You
Sure.
need
Put
to
your
get
head in the
involved with
sand.
it
That's
sooner than
not.
later.
No, no. Yeah, I am a firm believer that AI is not going to replace the producer. And the reason is because we as human beings want to have a trusted relationship with a person to advise us and help us with these kinds of decisions as a business owner, as an individual. So I'm not too concerned about that. I do think that AI is going to have some impact on jobs throughout the industry, but I think that it will be much more impactful at the insurer side, not at the agent side. Let me
Well,
ask
but
you one
here's the
other
thing, man. Let me
question.
ask you this though: why would
Yeah,
people think that when you let's look at an industry, and obviously maybe this is what's creating the fear.
yeah,
But look at the automotive industry. We don't build
yeah.
cars the same way we built them 20
No,
years ago, let alone 50 or 60 years ago.
yeah.
We've had to succumb to that, and part of it is because you have to be able to run a lean enough operation to
You
have the
do,
margin to compete.
you
Otherwise,
do.
you're a legacy agency by the way, if you're not into AI and you still run a paper agency, you're an acquisition target for me. So I'd
Of
love to
course.
talk to you. If you happen to be listening to a podcast by accident,
Reach
uh,
out.
yeah, reach out because I'd like to talk to you about how we might be able to do business. But I just don't understand why the insurance industry seems overall historically so averse to pushing the envelope and driving change through technology. It's a really weird thing because you would expect that we would want to be on the forefront of all of this. And because I feel like the independent agent on average is pushing back, it's really allowing a lot of direct to consumer insure tech companies to come in and do exactly what we're afraid of them doing. But the reason the opportunity is there is because it's not being adopted at the agency level.
Well, but it is being adopted at the insurer level, and I think that that's where, unfortunately, that's where it has to be adopted first because that's going to drive. I believe it's going to drive margin, and it's going to drive the ability for the carriers to offer better and more competitive pricing if they can lower some of their own overhead. This helps them, which I think then drives down the cost of insurance or helps to create better opportunities for the agents. So I think at large agencies we see that there's people in the role of like a director of transformation and there, but the typical independent agent doesn't hire that person or can't afford that person, and I don't know that they really need that. I mean, I think that as you kind of hinted earlier, you could have a small hodgepodge of a couple of good insure techs, maybe adopt some policies around using some of the free AI tools in your agency, and you can get some lift there. But we're seeing a pretty substantial amount of AI adoption utilization at the insurer level, and they've been a lot faster to adopt it than they had adopted other technologies, historically. So I think it's moving faster than people sometimes even realize.
Where are you seeing them make those investments?
Well, I think a couple of things. So, number one, as I hinted a few minutes ago, I mean, I think fraud prevention is a big one. We're seeing I mean, pretty much now, most insurers have some level of AI in fraud prevention. Yeah, I think that they're also starting to use AI to enhance risk assessment. And that kind of is in combination with human processes. So kind of combining an AI model and a human process, to more efficiently and effectively enhance their risk assessment efforts. We're seeing it where they're using it to improve their customer experience, from being able to evaluate claims faster and more accurately. Some of them are even using it now to design new products that kind of reflect market demands. And then carriers are using it a lot with automating repetitive tasks, which I would argue is probably the fastest and best way to lower
I'd
their
say predictive
overhead.
analytics and underwriting too to get a better underwriting result. They've
Absolutely.
been using that. I mean, shoot, they've at least 10 years. I'm sure it's a much different product now than it was
Yeah.
10 years ago. But even to your point on the claims side, there are carriers where you can, if you're in an auto wreck on the
Right.
personal line side, you can take a picture of the
Yep.
damage and it's
AI
using
kicks
AI
in.
to adjust the
Yeah,
claim. And you're
that's
basically
right.
getting paid in record time
Yeah.
based on how it's using AI to analyze the claim.
And a lot cheaper than paying additional adjusters and everything else. So yeah, I mean that's where they're benefiting. And the industry it's forced to do that, right? I mean the industry went through some hard times over the last few years to generate profit. And so I think the investment in AI is a big part of trying to come out from that and be more profitable.
Well, and obviously, are you in California now?
I'm in California.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you're in California. I'm in Florida. Both have
right.
had their fair share of catastrophes. Think
Absolutely.
about how much better the client experience would be in cat claims
Oh
if they
yeah.
have AI able to analyze,
So
those
true.
claims and turn the process around much
Yeah.
quicker. Our biggest issue, and I mean, I don't think people realize if you don't live in an area where you have to deal with this stuff, how much it affects the entire ecosystem, right?
Oh
Because I
yeah.
had a client when Hurricane Ian came through a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It was an over $100 million a year general contractor that
Yeah. Wow.
specialized in roofing, siding, windows, and doors. And when Ian came through, they were out doing everything they could to try and get roofs tarped, get stuff under
Right. Right.
process or whatever else. And unfortunately, we lost 5 or 6 carriers at that
Mm.
time who
Right. I remember.
got
Sure.
flipped over to the state guarantee fund
Eight.
to
Yep. Mhm.
adjust claims. And it was such a ridiculously bureaucratic process,
Oh yeah.
so bogged down. This $100 million company went bankrupt because they were not getting paid back on the
Fast
claim
enough.
for the
Yeah.
money that they were
Yeah.
investing in the shingles and the raw materials
Yeah.
they needed.
Yeah.
And now you got major issues at that point. You've got work in process.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it never ever ends, and so it's
No.
going to be interesting to see. I think that one of the biggest places we have an opportunity for advancement is going to be in how, to your point, fraud is a
It
no
is.
brainer, but just in the adjusting process, how can it
Oh
help us
yeah.
streamline that to where you take something that would normally in some cases be months
Months.
to,
Right. And it's
literally
now a matter of
probably
a
can
few
be done
minutes.
in
Right.
days, and then at some
Yeah.
point
Yeah.
maybe even minutes.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, it definitely is already impacting the personal line side, and I think it's going to impact commercial more and more over the next few years. And it's frankly it's exciting. I mean, it is exciting stuff. But yeah, I mean, as you hinted, right? You also have to be very careful and have a little bit of skepticism, right? Because this is all so new,
Yeah, you
bleeding
got to
edge
be cautious for
technology.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So I want to be respectful of your time. I told you we would probably go for like 30, 40 minutes coming in, and we're at 30, probably 35 right now, close to it. What do you have on your roadmap that you're able to share with us? What's coming next for Appulate? Why should people be paying attention?
Yeah, so I think that Appulate is in a really interesting place to help a lot of agencies out that are feeling the pinch from their agency management system vendors that have been out there acquiring a lot of insurtechs to try to piece together additional solutions, but then turn up the volume on pricing and make these solutions just outside the budget for the typical independent agent. And so I think that Appulate has demonstrated that it can be a bolt-on to your agency management system and give you not only good technology today, but kind of a growing amount of features and functionality over time that help agencies operate more efficiently and effectively, but don't break the bank. And that's a big deal. We've been very, very good about keeping our price points low and understanding the needs of the independent agent. I'm very proud of that. And as a privately held company, family-owned company, we can do that, right? We don't answer to private equity. We don't answer to, we're not a publicly traded company. So, that's something that I'm proud that we can say.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, man, it's one of the reasons why I do business with Hawksoft. I absolutely love the fact that they're
Absolutely.
privately held. They listen, they have
Right.
great customer service. So I'm an agent that's listening to this podcast, but this sounds pretty good, but I'm not sure that you're really talking to me. Who is your ideal client? Who are the people who are going to benefit from engaging with Appulate the most?
Yeah, our typical independent agency is doing somewhere less than $10 million a year in their total premium. They're a small or mid-size agency. They're family owned or privately held, and they're looking to do business in a way that's going to be more profitable. And they're looking for solutions to help them do that.
Perfect. That's exactly who listens to this podcast for the most part. How do they find you? Where's the best way for them to connect? Who on your team would you want them to reach out to?
Well, we think we've got a really informative website at appulate.com. Appulate is Appulate. And on that website, we show our product. We're very, transparent about the value proposition. And we love to show demos. So hit us up and we're happy to walk you through a demonstration anytime.
Awesome. Anything we're leaving on the table?
Hey, I just want to say, thanks to all the amazing insurance agencies out there that do the noble work of helping organizations and individuals transfer their risk. It's an important work, and you never get the big thank you that you deserve. So, thank you.
Absolutely, man. And I know they'll appreciate that too, because sometimes it does seem like it's a thankless job, you know? At renewal, nobody wants to talk to you. Everybody hates your guts, but we're always there to pick up the pieces when the worst things in life
Absolutely.
happen to you. So it's nice to know that we're recognized and appreciated for that. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join me today. It's been a great conversation. I look forward to sharing it with everybody. People, make sure you check out the website it's appulate.com. And if you have questions after that, they're going to guide you through how you can reach out to somebody and they'll be able to touch base at that point.
Keep up the great work you're doing, David. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Everybody else, we'll catch you next time. See ya.